Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Main here with Pastor Victor Brote. If you want to find out more about me or reach out to me, you can get me at stevemain.com. Communicate with me there. If you guys have questions or comments or testimony on what we're going to talk about today, which is the power of prayer, put it in the comment section. Like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing from us. So welcome, Pastor.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Okay, so we decided to do this one, and we usually keep this about resources, about money and praying, but this really has to do with faith. And I'm a firm believer that if you're going to pray something, you better be ready to believe it. Now, we're human, and you and I have both seen a lot of miracles. I've seen legs grow, arms grow, poison oak disappear, eyesight restored. I've seen just about all of them, deliverance, so on. So miracles happen, but God is sovereign. So what got us thinking about this whole topic was the Buffalo Bills safety, Damar Hamlin is his name. And I was watching the game. I'm a football fanatic. And, the looks on the players' faces and everything, it looked like he was dead. He was resuscitated on the field from cardiac arrest. Basically everything stopped, which I guess you could call dead. But the thing that got you and I talking, like we so often talk about things, is the prayer. And the people on like ESPN and NFL networks, first I noticed the phrases changed. And the phrases are usually like, our thoughts and our prayers are with him or with her, or whatever they're talking about. The phrases were tweaked a little bit more to what a Christ follower would say, like lift him up in prayer. I believe in the power of prayer. Never heard that stuff before. Of course, we've never in my life, and I've been watching football since I was 5, back to John Brody and Joe Namath. Literally, I watched those guys play. But I've never seen it like this. I mean, we're talking, analysts on ESPN, not just saying, send him your thoughts and prayers like it's some voodoo or something. It's like, no, lift him up in prayer. It was different this time. And literally, ESPN analysts, bowing their heads, folding their hands, and praying in the name of God. So I don't know.
All of a sudden, things got very serious.
Yeah, right. It's like it knocked everybody on their head. And you and I have been talking about this just in awe of what's happened. And probably millions of people are like, okay, I'll try it too. So what are your initial thoughts?
I think that we really need to remember this moment in this situation and look at this in a humble way, because life is short. It just plain is short. I drove you nuts for several months. We're not going to live 500,000 hours more. We don't have long. And it's suddenly this 24-year-old athlete is toppled over, and it just, nobody, none of us are superheroes. That's a Hollywood lie, and we fool ourselves. But at times, we just have to come back down to earth and recognize that life will be short. Soon we will meet our Maker, and soon all of the good works and the calling out to Christ will matter. It will matter more than any football game. By the way, Steve, I remember the first Super Bowl, so I out-age you a little bit. I remember before the first Super Bowl.
Yeah, you got me a little bit there. First Super Bowl I ever saw, I think it was 6, that I actually watched. I was little. And I don't know what you meant by that remark about we only have so many hours. That I don't know if you're calling me old or what, but so it was the Colts and the Cowboys. And it was the Colts, I think Super Bowl 6, won that Super Bowl with a field goal. And back then they used to play really conservative. Well, anyway, trying for field position and trying not to make any mistakes. And the games were horrible back then. But anyway, I
remember the Packers. It was pretty good sometimes. But this young man, I was in a way, I don't know what his practice is religiously, but he was doing some right things. He was reaching out and working with a children's group to help them. And I last heard $6 million. It's probably gone beyond that.
It's like 8 million. Started off at 2,000.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people donating $10, $20. And it is, absolutely amazing. And I just keep thinking of the terms used, like my mom's a prayer warrior or a person of faith. Those are terms you don't hear on sports channels.
Yeah, it's about time we expose some of the reality. For my wife and I, we run another nonprofit, and we've seen prayers answered in such dramatic ways. Sometimes just there is no question but a miracle. Other times maybe the doctors take 10% credit, or you don't heal without the design of God overcoming the challenges to your body. And I'll just reiterate, my wife and I, and individually, we've just seen miracles. You can't deny them. There's some of them that are just so clear. And other times, he doesn't answer.
Well, yeah.
We don't understand.
Is he ignoring us? And you being a pastor and with your theological degree, then people say, well, how come he didn't heal my wife or my husband or my mom or my child? God doesn't care. Why do these bad things happen? There is no God. That's the common thing that happens a lot.
Yeah, it's so easy to go off on this tangent. We're working with a couple or situation, actually several situations, where this is life and death. And you need to turn to God and trust that whatever his answer is, and the way you can trust that is first of all by having a relationship, because that trust doesn't make any sense in your mind. You hear other people talking about religious stuff, but it doesn't make any sense until there's a plug. Like you plug in your refrigerator and it works. If you don't plug it in, it's just a death box there. It's a warm, useless thing. And you need to plug into Jesus and find that relationship for yourself. And then your ability to really give, your ability to really bless changes in its dynamic. It becomes a miraculous dynamic. I was talking to my wife the other day saying, we live resurrected. Our bodies are not yet in heaven, but we live in that resurrection power. And it's just undeniable. It is something I can't believe who I've become, what God has done in our lives. And yet there's also pieces of our lives where we really would like this prayer to be answered, especially health-wise. But it's instead of just all about me, it's about that relationship. And sometimes God reminds us how mortal we are and turns us back to him. And this is one of those times, I think, in our nation, in the sports world. And we need to remember it. All life is precious. And how great it is that God answered this particular prayer. And it just seems to me like it is ever so clear. You
Yeah.
can't go scratch your head. Well, maybe. No.
Yeah.
This guy was dead.
Yeah. And what's really cool about it, exciting about it, is not that he was dead, but that now people are like, people that would never have thought to pray before go, hey, wait a minute, keep praying, keep praying, keep praying. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. That's the next thing that people are connecting this to.
Yeah.
Like I said, terms you don't hear on TV, you don't hear on the news. You don't hear sportscasters talk about the power of prayer and prayer warriors and, lift him up in prayer. You just hear usually, we're sending our thoughts and our prayers and good wishes. It was different this time.
Yeah. I wish that would be part of our news, because I travel around the world, and in that travel, I kept meeting people saying, God did this. It was just so miraculous. God did this other thing in my life. It's so miraculous. And just throughout, across the globe, God is answering prayers. God is in the business of blessing people. When you and I call out to him, he just does that sort of thing because he has a love. He wants to prove the glory of his name. If we ignore that glory issue, then just everything will fade away into silence. And our culture and society has done that too much. And it's about time to turn the corner. And that's why we're talking about wealth too. You get into God's blessing by putting your priorities in order. And that's something that changes everything. It changes society. It changes professional ball players. It changes us left and right. And we are different because of the power of God. I'll leave it at that.
And the last thing I'll say is that, we live in an earth that's not perfect. And guess what? There's evil in this world. We're not in heaven yet. Not everything is perfected. So we live in a world with evil. So if you don't think that there's just good and no evil, you're wrong. There's evil. And so anyway, thanks for your input as always, Pastor.
That's fine.
We will talk to you soon.
All right, great.